the game was going to be called Perfect Sacrifice. I pitched it. I got funding. And then I realized that I had created a simulator for worship to fictional gods, and that might make my god upset in the process.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlog Banter. My name is Tucker Hazell, and this is Dev Dive, a show where I get a chance to talk to interesting game developers about their games, and today we're doing something different. I've never done this before, recording an interview in a game. I've got two of the fine folk here from Strange Scaffold to talk about the game that we are currently playing, which is Co-Op Kaiju Horror Cooking, the latest release from Strange Scaffold, and we're going to be playing it. You'll see our monks, and we'll just be walking around as we're doing this interview. Hopefully the gameplay doesn't get too in the way of the conversation, but also if it does, that's funny. And so, ultimately, isn't that what we're here for?
It is what we're here for.
And I am joined by a studio head, Xalavier Nelson Jr., and Kevin Ribeiro, the level designer here for Co-Op Kaiju Horror Cooking. And I'm really excited to have both of you here in the game. We had a little setup process getting joined, and now I can see both of you in the game with a cleaver and a torch welcoming me here to this experience.
Yes, it's the pleasure is ours. Kevin Ribeiro has worked with us on a few Strange Scaffold games now. Started over on El Paso Elsewhere, played a huge role on I Am Your Beast, and now just did some stellar work across the world of Co-Op Kaiju Horror Cooking. So I am both really excited to be joining him in the game to talk about our work here, as well as just in general to keep working with him because he's great.
Wow.
And Kevin, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed, but
Is your monk blushing?
No, that's awesome. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be a part of the games on Strange Scaffold. It has been like the most fun I ever had, like working and creating. I never felt like as free to like just create and try out crazy ideas than like on this studio. It's always a fun time, and I'm really excited to try out this game with you and have a little chat.
Yeah. So because this is kind of an unusual setup that we've got here, the plan, as of now, is to record our conversation, asking a couple of questions about the game, its origins, its design, here in the lovely monastery that we'll be exploring. Might as well take a look at some of the other rooms, look at Kevin's work, while we're doing the main interview portion. But then we're going to be playing a level at the end of the game so you can get a sense of what the game is really like, the main meat of the gameplay. And maybe answering some questions, telling some stories while we do that. And we feed some kaiju. But you mentioned that Strange Scaffold's a place where you can explore weird ideas. And you've never felt more like you're able to express and explore and try crazy things. And I would say this is one of the crazier things that has been done with with video games. And so let's take a look back all the way at the beginning of the Co-Op Kaiju Horror Cooking development cycle and story. And Xalavier, why don't you give the audience a sense of where and why this game started and became what it is today?
It actually went through a couple of very interesting changes. The very start of it was being a Christian myself. I'm for the first time trying to read through the entire Bible, so I know what the heck I'm talking about. I've skipped around a lot over the years, but trying to get I started at the New Testament and now I'm going back to the Old Testament. I'm trying to get a sort of comprehensive idea of among other things who God is. And in the process of doing that, I ran into a book that most people who are Christians make jokes about, which is like Leviticus, Deuteronomy. It is the highly detailed set of Old Testament laws and sacrifices. And people make jokes about how they have to struggle to not fall asleep during that. And what I was fascinated by was the game design of it. I was reading of like, if you've done this, sacrifice this type of animal. Use its blood. Walk around the altar. Sprinkle its blood here. Then burn it. And I was hearing all this very systematic all this highly systematic, highly modular design
Yeah.
for scriptural law.
Interesting.
And I was like, you know what? There's a game in that. And I came up with this thing about sacrificing to eldritch entities in highly specific ways the creatures you get from a giant like Mesopotamian labyrinth.
Sure.
And the game was going to be called Perfect Sacrifice.
I
pitched it. I got funding. And then I realized that I had created a simulator for worship to fictional gods, and that might make my god upset in the process.
Okay, all right.
So Perfect Sacrifice, I went back to Faisal of Frosty Pop, and to his credit, his flexibility is a huge part of not just why I love working with him, but like why this game was allowed to, in its ultimate course, find the best version of itself.
Yeah.
And
one that wouldn't get you smited.
Yeah, I didn't want to get smitten, and so I was like, hey, Faisal, if I can find a different pitch, one that still utilizes these game mechanics, but does it in a way that doesn't explicitly mean that I am pulling people into the worship of Cthulhu,
sure.
Would you still fund it? And he said yes, and spent a couple of days thinking with this unique game design problem.
Yeah.
Have the same game design, change the theme without meaningfully making it feel weird and disconnected.
Yeah.
And what I landed on was an opportunity to talk about my own faith in this very honest way. What does it mean to, especially in 2024, 2025, tell a story about not just faith, but doubt, and what happens when your leaders and the people who sort of upheld what the faith meant for you as they start to pass away, and you have to uphold those values yourself. What does that look like, and who do you become while trying to maintain your community? And the result is Co-Op Kaiju Horror Cooking. Also, briefly had a different name. Well, not briefly, but for most of its dev cycle, had a different name, Apocalyptic Cuisine. And what the team did, taking this very absurd premise in this burgeoning, quote-unquote, friend slop genre, and treating that with not just, like, really leaning into the comedy of it, but leaning into the sincerity of the world and the community, and making it to where speaking to these monks is something that you can actually care about between year to year. Because unlike a lot of the games in this sort of vein, we have a full narrative portion, and you get to see this monastery evolve over the years, and as not just it transforms, but you transform in the process of interacting with the people who are driven to pursue this absurd mission and try to keep going even when survival itself seems meaningless. I think, especially as a member of the games industry, that type of story and that type of resistance is at least very potent for me, and it's something I'm very grateful that we got the chance to explore, and it's the result of a lot of really good people doing a lot of really cool work.
Yeah, and I love that story as something that is very personally meaningful and an exploration of your own faith and identity and purpose, but also results in a game that, at its face value, has a ridiculous name and a ridiculous premise, and you just threw something at me.
I gave you a cleaver.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Sorry.
But I'm curious when that started, because you gave sort of you gave the initial premise, but when did you start working on this? Like, how long has this project been in development? And then beyond that, Kevin, when did you get involved with the project?
So the game has been in development for 1 calendar year. We built this thing in a year, and we're midway through the planned post-launch cycle for it.
Yep.
Kev, I actually don't remember the exact time you joined the project. I think it was midway through. When did you join?
I think it was like 5 months ago or 4, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
because you were doing Beast post-launch content, so you had just finished shipping Cold Sweat and Support Group for the epilogue content of I'm Your Beast.
Yeah, and also one thing that I should add is you mentioned like the monastery being part of my work. Actually, this monastery kind of has like a a lot of stuff that was added by other people. Like Robin started like the foundations for this
Robin
monastery.
Scarborough, a designer from over on El Paso elsewhere.
Then we also had like a little bit done by me. Also Victor, our newest level designer, and also Dimitri also did a lot of cool like set dressing and detailing stuff here.
Dimitri Sofades, the designer of the Click Gold.
Yeah.
Ah, lovely.
Kevin, when you were coming to the project, especially midway through, we had to basically get the game finished. We had a huge staffing up, at least for our scale, in the middle. So there was a level of being lost in the sauce and a bunch of documentation that we took for granted not existing when all those new people joined. We were like, oh yeah, just look at the GDD, and that wasn't sufficient. So I'd be really interested, Kevin, as you're building the levels, where is your initial inspiration points and how you were thinking of it in comparison to the other very accessible co-op games out there?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Like, actually, the first time I heard this game being mentioned, the first thing that came to my mind was like Overcooked. Then I actually saw you guys playing, and I realized it kind of had a little bit of like Quake or something, like a more traditional arena FPSs, at least looking at them.
Huh.
But one thing that like really inspires me, which may sound like weird, I don't know, is I'm a board gamer. So there's a lot of like dungeon crawling board games that I was looking at when I first started this the level design on this game, and I was like trying to pull cool ideas from them. And as time went on, I also played like a lot of Mario games. So
all right,
in some of the levels you see like more later in the game, there are a little bit of platforming added in.
Yeah.
And also we had like recently Victor joined the team, our newest level designer, and he also came up with a lot of like mechanical ideas, like a lot of moving stuff and like traps and opportunities to like make players like surprised and like more invested in the game. And that also like opened up like a whole new world for this game. Like I can say that the game started kind of like something more static, like a more static dungeon crawler of sorts. And now it became like a lot of different things, I believe. Like each level kind of has its own flavor. The first level that I made definitely was very kind of like horror focus in a way.
Yeah, makes sense.
I brought a lot of the knowledge that I got from working on El Paso elsewhere on it. There are some similarities in terms of like design ideas. And yeah, the thing is like every time that I'm making a new level, the stuff that inspire me the most are like the media I'm consuming at the moment. It doesn't really have to be gaming. Like right now, I'm completely invested in like the Drive to Survive Formula One TV show. So there are definitely moments that I'm looking at a level and I'm thinking like, oh, what would a paddock be like right here, and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah. And Xalavier, for you, in terms of your interests, is any of the design or themes or tone here? Does that come from other things that you're passionate about, or did you just want to try something different?
It very much came from things I'm passionate about. The core that's lived in my head for so long was Phasmophobia, which was I played it years ago when it was much earlier in early access, and I was struck by, man, if you could make a version of this that worked in single player or multiplayer, you would have something really, really compelling. I've been looking for like what would be the binding theme, mechanics, and structure to deliver that. My number one sort of gameplay motivation when it comes to designing gameplay things and building the convergence that you mentioned before is the magic trick. I love taking, and sometimes to a degree that gets me in trouble, taking something that shouldn't work and then making it work and making it exist and making it meaningful. So an airport for aliens currently run by dogs. The fact that people tend to cry within the first hour or two of playing that absurd stock photo filled game.
Yeah.
That's the magic trick. That's where my creative soul comes alive. So
sure.
The inspirations of not just the great co-op games surrounding us, but things like The Name of the Rose and weird medieval architecture and times where being a part of a military family, I would be brought to castles growing up, and the feeling of castles and caves and how people build their lives in and around these structures in the ways that would already, struck my tiny brain. A lot of myself comes in this project, but also I think a lot of the ideas over time about community come from, honestly, really having friends as an adult. When I was a kid, I didn't have many, and so when I was an adult and I started working in the games industry officially, I found my people. And a game about, hey, take all these weird influences and inspirations and make it about finding and protecting your people, ended up making what was previously an abstract thing of like, man, it would be cool to do a systemic puzzle like Phasmophobia, but different from them, to honor the work that went in there. Finding a binding theme or a binding story is what really clarified and made that work.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting to think about this as a game that is centered around the concept of community, and that also being something that's a very core element of cooking and food culture in the world. And so what about this being a cooking game? Xalavier, Kevin, you and the team thinking about this as a cooking game, and that's a genre that has some major games, but I wouldn't consider it oversaturated, right? Like there are not a ton of big cooking-based games. And so what do you think you sort of brought to the genre, the cooking genre here with Co-Op Kaiju Horror Cooking? Because that's three words that I don't think have ever been associated with another. Maybe co-op. They're definitely co-op cooking games, but kaiju and horror I don't think have ever really been part of the cooking genre before.
That's why you guys smash them together. I'd say one of the big things that I hope we did was, one, we explored that cooking is one of the most difficult game mechanics to have in a video game. It was a constant conversation, especially towards the end of development. It was why we went from recipes to having what we call a chronicle, which is the fantasy of cooking. It features so many verbs and so much expression and so much like mental overhead, not even just to build it, but to just play that as a player, that there's a lot of cooking games that are stressful or boring and the amount to which they directly simulate procedure. And then there's all of the nitty gritty of what are the controls and does that actually feel like cutting or baking something? Because among other things, those processes are so personal to a given person and their culture that, frankly, it was wild that we attempted to make a cooking game at all.
Yeah, of
with
course.
our resources and focus in the typical Strange Scaffold process of extensive, basically calling a shot and making the game that you plan rather than a more free-form jazz interpretive process. And where fusing those influences came together for us was, and something that I hope other designers can use from our project, is improvised dishes. One of the moments that really made the game, what the game was, click in my head, was when it went from, man, how do we make recipes and cooking and the vast thing of what cooking means to different people and cultures work, and we went to, this is not a place of honor. You are, this actually came from a conversation with the designers of Ultimate Chicken Horse at GDC. The idea of going like, wait, this isn't a place of honor. You are cooking for giant monsters. You might off screen have a lot of cool little dishes that you make for people in your community.
Yeah.
But gourmet chefs essentially feeding the equivalent of massive dogs who don't care what they eat. It is just, is it burnt? Good. Does
it
it
food
have
I
salt
like?
on it? Yeah, just like very basic preferences and squishing that possibility space and contextualizing that possibility space of what cooking is to the function of who you are and what the creatures you are feeding are in this world, meant that the game became suddenly in scope and shippable, where at certain points it seemed uh almost impossible to pull off this thing that we had set before ourselves. And so yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of the game, was not just figuring out the game, but figuring out, oh, cooking, one, hellish. No one should make a cooking game. But if you are going to make a cooking game, if you have the right context, you can end up changing your workload and changing what experience the player makes by being like, nah, this isn't about making a pizza by taking yeast and flour and then making dough and then making that and then rolling that dough out and putting tomato sauce on it. You are beating a rat to death with the rolling pin because that's what you've got, and you're chopping up its head because a giant mutant bear that has risen from the sea likes minced rat meat, and you are flinging it into its mouth with a catapult. That is the job.
Yep. Yeah, and that ridiculous premise, and obviously the execution in the game, and the idea of riffing and of just being able to try something ridiculous. That is something I think comes through in this game, and also just your Strange Scaffold catalog in general. And Kevin, I'm curious for you as a part of this team, who you said you've really enjoyed, working on all these variety of projects. What kind of like riffing, crazy inspiration, ridiculous idea did you, in terms of conversations or ideas, did you have while working on this game in the last 5 months? Any conversations you remember having with anyone else on the team that resulted in something fun, or what was that process like for you?
Yeah, the fun thing about working on games like this is every time you see a new asset showing up, you always go like, how can I use this like in an interesting way?
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
so we see like I don't know, we have like the skulls, the skulls, the skeletons. We have them like we look at them and we like, what would this look like if it had like hair? So we start looking at the assets we have, and we go, okay, this little hook here, maybe we could like do some dreadlock. And this is kind of like a very like stupid example, but the thing is, one thing that I always like on these games is like even though the ideas may seem like a little ludicrous, there are values in the ideas, you know. So one thing that I always love to do whenever I'm working on these games is like experimenting without like actually having like the fear of doing something that wouldn't make sense in a way. Because when you start working like that, you start working and polishing and start like looking at things in different angles and start like writing the little stories that are happening in the levels, and suddenly it all starts to like make sense and creates like new flavors. Like pun intended. Start creating new flavors to like little things that players will like look at and try to like figure out and try to engage with. And sometimes this only ends up being like visual things like statics, but in other times this can land up to like fun interactions, fun puzzles, maybe some Easter eggs. And I feel like this game, since we have like a lot of different dungeons of sorts, which we call like the larders, we always want to like imprint our personality in them. So, well, there are like little things that make like my personal likings and the stuff that I kind of want to like present to players. In this case, since this game has a little bit of horror in it, I always find interesting to like think of like the stuff that actually makes me afraid. So I always think of stuff like height, of like scale, like big things, small things. One thing that when I saw that we had in this game, that I started thinking, oh, maybe I should add this more in level, is like water, like having the idea of having like a drench floor that you can't really see the bottom, so there can be
Oh
anything
yeah, that
under
was
there.
evil.
So that's one thing that always like excites me and makes me want to like try out those things, and in the end it works. Sometimes it doesn't, but I think if you actually get inspired, I definitely feel like it's a good thing to like just try and see what happens. And I feel like I have a lot of room to like experiment.
I feel like this is one of my favorite things about working with Kevin as a level designer and about working with people. I wouldn't make games alone, I think, even if I had the chance to do so, because when we went into a level midway through the development, going through all of the horrors that come from working on a multiplayer game, horror or not, and we were just walking through this thing, and it has no art, but there is suddenly a wet floor, and you can barely see underneath it. And I could see that he used the capabilities of the water shader that our artist had built to hide spikes.
Okay.
Suddenly, I get, for me, the project director at an auteur studio, I get something revealed to me about what the game is and could be. And that's one of my favorite moments in any project, and I am very fortunate I get a lot of moments like that of Kevin shows me, oh, the game can be this. David Mason, our composer, we had the idea for a dynamic chanting system, but a dedicated chanting button, but turning that into its current form where you can, across 13 notes, take a voice and use it to sing, and even use that for gameplay. That came from a musician chiming in during a team meeting.
Yeah.
And having more of what the game can be revealed to me by my teammates as we make this shared vision that emerges from a personal place. That is game development magic, and that is
Absolutely
part of why I work in this hell industry.
Yeah, I always notice that the game we have, like, even though we might have like a very detailed game development document and stuff, we can clearly see that in the head of each member of the team there is like a different game going on. Even though there are a lot of similarities, there is like a skeleton to it. We all have like a different vision, and it's very fun to like see like our vision as the iteration goes on, and seeing like, oh, I never considered that this would make sense for this game. So yeah, and in the end, like the final thing, the final piece of art, product, whatever you want to call it, it always feels so like much better when like it goes through all those different visions and hands. It's a very exciting part of the process, like all the time.
Yeah.
I love what he said about everyone having a different version of the game in their heads, because when Victor joined, it was very late in the project. We still had quite a few levels to finish, and Victor had, of course, played the game because he's friends with Ribeiro, our lead programmer, and the co-designer on the project.
Also Brazilian.
Also Brazilian. We had a very cool Brazilian crew
Yeah.
on this
We're
game.
slowly taking over.
We started with one Brazilian member of the team, and it has just grown across the different projects. But yeah, Romero brought in Victor and had Victor play the game, and I think, to Kev's point, one of the things that really broke our idea of what the game could be very late in development is Victor makes us basically an escape room level. It is
sure
all of our game systems and mechanics, but as seen through the lens of a central puzzle room that you are dealing with and figuring out as you have to complete your objectives and as you want to reveal more of the room beyond even what you have to for the objective,
yeah
getting through it. And I don't think any of us had ever considered seeing the game or the level design tools in that way.
Yeah, of course.
And I see I see Kevin taking pieces of that and starting to fold that into previous maps in ways that are deeply existentially horrifying. And yeah, I the idea of different people making the same game, but also very slightly different games that end up showing different projects to each other in the process, and everyone bouncing off of that. It's the coolest thing, and there's so much of that in this game.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things about following your studio for the last a little over a year, since I heard about Click Holding and Beast and El Paso elsewhere, is that you like to highlight the fact that riffing, that improvisation. What just happened to Kevin?
Oh, don't worry, I'll get back.
He just exploded in front of me in the cheeks. That improvisation is a big part of your process, and you like when someone throws out a crazy idea that then results in something that you can iterate on quickly and then implement into the game and then become something that's really fun. And that happens with the singing system, that happens with, different little game design mechanics. And so do either of you have a memory of being in a meeting, someone just throwing out a crazy idea that ended up becoming something in this game that you're really, really proud of?
I mean, you pretty much mentioned Victor. Like the first time I played his level, like his first level, yeah, I remember the first time we saw that, and we were like, oh, so we can do that. But yeah, definitely that was one thing that blew my mind. And also looking like the first moment I started building my level, I had like a kind of like a philosophy that I was going through and stuff. And one thing that is very common for us level designer is stealing stuff from each other. We're always like getting in the other level designer levels and like looking at things and just copying and pasting on our own level and modifying it.
Yeah.
So it was very cool to like look at the monastery itself. Like there were some ideas that I looked at the monastery and I was like, that's interesting. And also the levels that we already had that was made by Robin. There were a lot of stuff that I looked at and I saw this is interesting. This is like a new a different thing that I could do and maybe like add some verticality to the level.
Yeah, sure.
And also like we have like the traps system. We have like multiple traps that are activated by different mechanisms. And one thing that I think we didn't have it at the start, but when we were presented to it, I think it was Ribeiro who presented it, was like using timers to like make things like deactivate after a while, or just like work for like a little duration of time. And I looked at it and I was like, that's interesting. And there are a lot of like little small puzzles and small navigation things that I can do like in the levels. Like I can kind of guide the player where I want them to. And also one thing that Robin did at first, then like we polished it as we went through, was like playing around with there's a very specific trap we have in this game that is the crushers. That is like a kind of like a piston thing. And we looked at it and we were like, oh, this thing moves, right? Back and forth and can be activated. So how can we use this in like other ways? And this is something that we always end up doing in like every game we're in. In El Paso
elsewhere, it was the portcullis system. It's just a little script that makes something move up and down. Ended up getting broken in a million ways because level designers were like, well, it's something that moves on a timer. I guess anything can do that.
And it always goes like the first thing we think is like, oh, let's make elevators, let's make like bridges that folds. And then as time goes on, we start thinking, oh, what if we make like since this game has kind of like a horror thing, kind of like a ethereal idea into it, what if we randomly make objects move in weird ways and like surprise players? I remember when Victor showed us the like a haunted house skeleton that just jumped in front of you.
And the skeleton is not alive. It's not an enemy. It is just literally a posed skeleton attached to a crusher script being misapplied. That when you step on a pressure plate, it jumps out, and that's it. And that's that itself becomes a part of.
Yeah. I also remember when I made like a bouncy room that you can just keep jumping and the enemies keep bouncing around.
Yeah, the for me the big mechanical moment was the rat coming together. It has ended up defining, for better and for worse, the identity of the game. We had an idea for a enemy. It's like, okay, we can only have a few enemies in this game because of our total budget and timeline. What are the enemies we can have, and how we make them each one special?
Yeah.
And there was just this small rat idea, and the idea was you would have this little rat that creeped around, and when it walked up to you, it stole an item, and then it scurried away. And I was like, ha ha ha, that's great. And Romero had this idea of the rat knocking the item out of your hands first. And
Yeah.
so in the very first video he posted of just, hey, just checking, what do you think about doing this instead? And seeing him, running through a scary room with a torch, and then a rat knocking that torch out of his hand, grabbing it, and then scurrying away. So he's now following the light of this little terrifying, irritating rat.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh yeah, that's the game. That is friction, but it is, when you take that out, or if you have a direct counter to it, it's like, okay, then are you gonna be the one who killed Big Rat? Big Rat stealing torch? No, that is not the legacy you want. And so we just committed to it, and we even found ways for rats to be more awful over time.
Well, the final thing that I want to make sure to talk to you guys about is part of the interesting release element of this game is that it's in early access right now. It's been sort of a beta, and you're updating it, evolving, and sharing patch notes with the community. But this is a very intentional and different process for you guys. So let's talk about what went into making the decision to approach the release of this game differently, and then over the course of the last few weeks since the game came out, what that process has been like for you and the team. Feedback that you've received, criticisms, things that you've had to change. What has that last almost month been like for this game, and how's that been different for the studio?
I think one of the nice things about this last month has been people understanding where we were coming from.
Yeah.
So
people like transparency.
Yeah, we really like transparency because, among other things, it means that you actually have a genuine relationship with your players. It isn't like there's not even a sort of a pretending that it's like we're a fast food restaurant and it's like, well, I wanted lettuce on the burger. That isn't the relationship of most, I think, creators and watcher and viewers and players in actuality. And I think it can with social media ideals and some very toxic capitalist ideas of the customer is always right.
Yeah. There's also some of that in games as well, of players feeling entitled to certain elements of their game.
Or the game being the thing that they want it to be, rather than asking what it is and seeing if they vibe with that. And I think one of the coolest things that have come from being very transparent with this dev cycle, us coming out even with its release rollout and saying, hey, we're going to have an open play test for 2 weeks. It's not a beta, it's not a demo, it's an open play test because we are in the last 2 weeks of finishing this game. You will see it broken, you will see levels get changed and added in sometimes radical ways because we're letting you in on that. Taking that leap of faith, really, with the community and seeing them return that with suggestions that vibe with what the game is rather than what, they're like, oh man, add No Man's Sky exploration. It's like, no, that isn't what the game is.
Yeah, interesting.
And so people bring suggestions in in the community by being very transparent with the community about what we would and would not do and what the game is and is not in its actual state of development rather than a pretty marketing phrase. People responded in kind. They were like asking for features because of course, but going, I know you're coming out in 2 weeks though. This is something I would like to happen. And I have almost never seen that happen in video games. I have seen requests and demands and anger if they're not fulfilled. I'm deeply grateful that the relationship we have with especially long-time Strange Scaffold people at this point is here's the art. From where the art is at, where are you as a player and how do you see this being more effective in doing what it's trying to do? Getting to have that relationship with the community and that resulting in, among other things, us announcing games mere weeks after they begin development now. Has been one of the greater privileges and I think success stories of the studio. Because it's one thing to make games that players love. It's another to make a connection with your players where you are able to actually have meaningful discussions and relationship. It is to the degree that there's inside of development communities, like entire, not even just jokes, but like major used and sometimes necessary pieces of advice about here's how you don't talk to players. Because talking to players is dangerous. Allowing input from players is dangerous. The players will never understand you. Having now across multiple games of the studio, very direct counterexamples to that to say no. If you talk to the players as people instead of as buckets of money.
Yeah, consumers.
Then there will be some people who want to be a jerk and they can take their money elsewhere. But the people who stick around, they're your actual audience and they can and will not just follow your work, but show you better ways of building it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with that and with the progress of this game, we got an idea of the story. I think we might as well jump into a little bit of cooking ourselves, a little bit of cooperative horror kaiju cooking, if you will.
Hell yeah.
So we're going to head over to the chanting platform here. I don't know what to call it. And we're going to head into a level and so you guys can get a sense of what this game is really like now that you know the story. And I was playing this game with my brother. I learned a little bit about it. So I'm not going to be like scared by the enemies and stuff anymore. I know actually how to chop things. I know how it works. But let's see how many points we can get because you guys have made this game. Presumably you're pretty good at it. And I have got a little experience as well. So what do we need here? Loves fruit pies.
This dinosaur is, as you can tell from his preferences, a vegetarian.
Correct.
He's very much into fruit in particular. So we're looking for crushing things, cooking things, garlic, oil, pepper
fruit pies.
Doesn't like things that are minced or burnt. Doesn't like meat. If they desire not, that you will still get score for that, but it'll half your score. So
okay.
Hates, if we put salt, man, that's going to deduct score from us. Desires not, we're going to have half score on anything there. So we can serve a meat if we need to in a pinch, but we're very clearly trying to make sure we can find some fruit pies, some fruit.
Yeah, no salt.
So
no salt.
No cheese.
Yeah, let me
no cheese. Just chuck it away.
I just picked everything that I shouldn't. So yeah, great start.
Well, actually, we can prepare the cheese at least because it will give half score, but it'll give us something.
Yeah.
Let me
All
show off.
Well, Kevin, why don't you and I head into the dungeon here? Maybe you can talk a little bit about the level design as we're going, and let's try to find some fruit pies, garlic, oil, and pepper, I guess.
Yeah, let's check it out.
I usually, check these tables. Sometimes a fruit pie. There's a lot of meat though. Rat meat. No.
I remember the great conversation we had, like trying to define if eggs are meat or not.
Yeah. That's something I asked as well.
It inspired literally about 2 hours of debate.
Yeah. It's design, but it's also like philosophy, ostensibly.
Okay, so apparently the level designer wants to annoy us, so there's no fruit here. So
nope.
Yeah.
Let's head elsewhere. Try to find some.
Let me leave this egg here so I don't lose it later. By the way, the torches on the wall, if you don't have any, you can grab them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That was not a feature in the game originally, and then we
Oh,
changed
interesting.
it because that made more sense.
oh my God, the rat just stole something from me.
Is
Yeah, my cleaver.
is bread an okay thing for our dino here?
I think so, yeah. If
Chill
he
with
doesn't
bread?
mention it, he's neutral towards it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. By the way, I got a rolling pin. I can like crush things more easily if we need to. Also, there's a
So the process of this game is exploring this dungeon, doing the dungeon crawling that you were mentioning earlier, finding the ingredients, taking them back to the outside, and then cooking them and crushing them or salting them, whatever, and put them in the catapult, as Xalavier mentioned earlier, and sending them off to our kaiju that we're feeding. Now, one thing that I was very confused about as I started this game is what these portals dropping miscellaneous particle effects are, and eventually I realized that those are things to like spice your foods. If they like pepper, if they like
Spice
oil.
falls, yeah.
Yeah. And me and my brother started calling them like a salt fall and butterfall and things like that.
Butterfall is a great name.
Yeah, like a waterfall but for butter. But how did you come up with the idea to include? There's no fruit in this dang place.
That was a big thing advocated for. Sorry. Please finish your question.
How did you choose to implement them as like waterfalls, portal waterfalls?
That came from designer Max Stucker, also someone who came on near the end of development. We already had spices in the game, but Max advocated really strongly for
Okay, I'm dead.
making spices have dynamic sources in the world as well to add more variety to a playthrough. And you'll see different times you play through a level in the same chapter, Spicefall moves. It's a different type of spice, that type of deal. And I finished crushing and cooking this meat, so I can...
Wait, hold on. I've got garlic and I have pepper, which are both desires.
Okay, those are desires. I would be reluctant
garlic
to put it on any meat, though. Oh, put that on the bread for sure, because the meat is already going to half it. If you put garlic on something he's neutral towards, though, it's going to have a much greater effect.
By the way, if any of you want to like revive me, my heart is like on that.
Oh yeah.
Like on the first corridor to the right as you go in.
Oh, wait! You died really close to the outside.
oh, that was quick.
Yeah, it was just in the first kitchen.
Great.
All right, I need to find some fruit. This level is evil. It did not give us any fruit.
I think you might find some fruits like on the rooms, like there are on the lower levels, maybe.
Okay.
I'm gonna come in and try to follow you and give you some backup.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
This game, I would say that there are some levels, and maybe this is one of those, that definitely like having a backup player with you is really useful.
But yeah, Max...
Oh, no!
No. So Max Stucker was saying, let's make dynamic sources of spices in the world as well. And ultimately presented a case for it that was not just very effective, but was like, it's something that we can feasibly do without crunching the team in the process. And now I can't imagine the game without it.
Yeah. I think it's also one of those. Whoa! Uh-oh. I died. I'm at the bottom of the thing. And I had an apple and an orange on me. So those are both.
I like that. The season.
Oh, shoot. No! Okay, so my heart
Kevin?
is...
It's up to you.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we're in the big elevator room. The elevator went down
room.
much faster than I thought it would.
Room. Okay. I think I know which
You'll find 2 hearts and also a bunch of stuff.
Is there any hearts?
Now, my dream of getting like an incredible high score with 2 of the devs seems to be floundering before our very eyes.
Okay, if y'all want to kind of guide
down.
me...
Down and turn in there. There's 1 heart, and there's 2 hearts.
This is 1 heart.
Behind you?
Let me.
There's a rat. There's a rat. Here. The rat cannon will steal hearts from you. Just run. Get out of there.
Oh yeah.
Get us back. Get us back.
A good idea.
We have 3 minutes. So one of the fun things about the process of this game is that it doesn't really teach you too much. You have these tool tips that show up that like give you general tips, but like the exploration and the combat and the whole process of that is pretty trial and error, at least the way that me and my brother experienced it. And so what do you think about the tutorialization or like the learning curve of this game? Is that something you guys were intending, is to kind of have it be like figure it out as you go?
A little bit, yeah.
Also, did we not get any points from any of that? What happened? He just sent a bunch of stuff. I don't think we got any points.
I don't know what happened to the points there. But
something to check into.
But yeah, the initial at least starting point of a lot of this was saying,
let's go together to that room. I think we can beat that rat.
Yes, we can. So there's the fruit and the fruit pies.
Let me engage.
So much stuff.
Yes.
I like these giant dead skeletons. Reminds me of like Dark Souls.
Yeah. There's kind of like some little lore things that happen in the level design. Some stuff that like we started like thinking, oh, what would it be like to like place this here, and start like building little stories in our heads. So yeah, it's always fun.
Okay, we're cooking ghoul meat just in terms of like a last second option.
Yep, and I'm crushing using this pestle. Apples and oranges.
Mashing E.
Oh, so you guys grabbed the fruits from like the top of the elevator,
most
right?
of it. Yep, I did.
Okay, so yeah,
Sorry,
there's nothing here.
Okay. I got your ghoul meat off the grill.
I got a cheese.
Okay, is cheese a neutral or a...
Cheese is a desires not.
Oh, no.
Do you have a torch? If we apply a torch... Okay, then apply the torch to it to make it cook faster.
I have pepper here. Let me just throw it in the floor.
How do I apply it? Just click?
Yeah, just click to hold.
Okay, cool.
There we go.
Got it. We are really cutting this close.
Let me put some garlic.
On level 1.
Because he desires it, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, let me send that off.
Okay.
60 points.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think we're making this.
I think we can make it. Can you give me the torch?
Here,
oh my god! I keep finding potions.
A lot of potions, not a lot of fruit here.
A lot of potions, a lot of cheese.
Pull.
There we go.
We did it!
Yes!
Last second, 18 seconds.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. As I was finishing level with my brother the other day, I'm like, oh my god, how many points am I going to get with the developers of the game? Barely beat the level.
I mean, I can tell you a little secret. Not all developers are great at their games. I'm not saying this for myself, but some people can say it for me. So
well, you did also die first, so
yeah, that's fair.
Okay, well, why don't we finish up that story about tutorialization, then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, just very, very simply, the idea of presenting with a basic tutorial, here's the elements in the world, here's how you cook, and then letting you discover the systemic relationships for yourself. Like, if you throw cheese at a rat, the rat will ignore you and just grab the cheese. That's the type of stuff that we want people to discover and find ways to combine them with whatever they were encountering at a given moment, and bring more life to a game that is simple fun, but just to give it that extra little spice.
Yeah, absolutely.
No pun intended.
No, come on, it's 2025. You can intend the puns. Okay, well, we have finished this level, and we've shared some stories. We barely scraped in by the skin of our teeth. Xalavier, Kevin, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you had fun. In the comments, or even you guys hear a little feedback, let me know what you think of this process, or this new idea of me like playing in the game with the developers, playing a little bit of it. I thought it worked out. It was I kept trying to like frame you guys in my camera so that you're on screen while you were talking, but I also wanted to like dick around in the monastery.
Yeah, I had a blast. This was a lot of fun, and you don't get a chance as a developer to just play or exist in your game very often. A lot of it is fixing and making things because you have to, and looking at the game through that lens. So it's been really fun to just come to it as a player today.
Yeah, and Kevin, thank you very much for joining me talking about some level design. I don't think I've had specifically a level designer on here, so you've brought some interesting insight to my channel.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it was a blast also. So thank you very much.
All right, amazing. Thank you both for joining me, and for everyone else, I'll see you next time.